stressed out, okay? We need help. So Dr. Kim is going to help us find peace among the chaos. There is help and hope for us. So Dr. Kim, I just started acupuncture treatments. And even though I was really skeptical at first, I liked them.
Yes.
What happened to me was when the needles were put in, my body felt really relaxed, and it was great. My mind was going a mile a minute. And it was the weirdest feeling because my body was like totally relaxed, but my mind was saying, okay, there's needles in you. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
But after a few sessions, it just automatically just the,
Yeah.
and it was astounding to me to feel that way because I'm not, I don't know if any of the people out there, how you feel about needles. I'm not a needle person, but I did try it because when I recommend something to my clients, I like to say, okay, I've done this, and it helped me or it didn't help me, but acupuncture actually helped me.
Yeah.
So for those of us who are afraid of needles, like myself, but overcame and happy that I did, what recommendations can you give us to take that first step?
If you're afraid of needles, there are a couple things you can do. If you're afraid of needles, but you're interested in acupuncture, you can always try acupressure first. Some acupuncturists like to practice acupressure, or massage therapists are a good place to turn to for some acupressure. And just see if stimulating those points, the same points that you would in acupuncture, helps you with any of your symptoms. If you want to just go straight into trying the needling, but you're still a little nervous, you can always find an acupuncturist that's very understanding and have a real discussion with them, because they can always modify things. They can always modify how many needles, the size of the needle, and also the technique they use. There are many different types of needling techniques, from aggressive to super gentle. Okay. So as long as your practitioner knows, they should help you, be able to help you ease into a good needle treatment.
Okay. So, that being said, I'd love for you to demonstrate some acupuncture on me. Sure. Be the guinea pig here. I know you have some needles there, and,
yep.
and I think it was my arm.
Yeah, wherever you'd like.
Okay.
I mean, you can really needle anywhere.
Okay,
and if you just rest your arm, because you always want to make sure that wherever is getting needled is very relaxed.
Okay.
Tense muscles will only cause discomfort.
Okay, so how, would you use the arm and hand for this?
For acupuncture, and the most traditional thoughts on acupuncture are that it's used for pain relief. So if you did have, like a tennis elbow, okay, or some pain anywhere along here, certainly I can needle that area.
Now, what about for stress? Where would you needle?
Okay. So there are very powerful points all over your body, but if we are looking just at your arm, on the inside of your wrist here, there's a wonderful heart meridian here, and the heart houses your spirit in Chinese medicine. Mm-hmm. So needling some points along that meridian can help you just feel calmer.
Okay.
And in general, the benefits of acupuncture are that with the insertion of needles, it doesn't even matter where it is. It'll help release endorphins. Endorphins are your hormones that make you feel good, and they help with pain relief. So regardless of where I insert it, it will still give you a beneficial feeling.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to have you relax your wrist here.
Okay.
And that's it.
Wow. No pain.
No pain.
And how long would we have to leave this in for?
Once the needles are inserted, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what type of treatment you're getting, and that's up to the discretion of the practitioner.
And during that time?
Well, that's another benefit of the acupuncture. Once the needles are in, you're forced to have some me time. You're forced to relax.
Ah.
And I know you even said, and a lot of my first-time patients experience, first-time treatment can involve a lot of mind racing. You don't know what to expect. There are needles all over you. But once you kind of get used to it, you come in for regular treatments. It's forced time to relax, take a time out away from the stresses of life, and that in itself is a benefit.
That sounds great. And you don't have to take your clothes off for this.
No.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. If you could, there we go. Well, that was painless. It actually felt really good. As you can see, there's no lasting impression on there. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was wonderful. What are foods that are going to make our blood sugar spike up.
Just like it's in its own name, sugar.
Yeah.
We're talking about simple sugars, but complex carbohydrates fall into that category as well.
And examples would be
candies, cookies, but then breads and pastas, cereals, things like that. You know, our breakfast is what I consider our most important meal. Of course, dinner is our biggest meal. It's the time to come and get together, and breakfast is always so rushed. A lot of people are turning to the cereals and donuts and pastries.
or even skipping breakfast.
Or
Some people don't even
worse,
yeah.
skipping breakfast, yes. But when you start your day off with a meal that's so high in sugar, your blood sugar levels are going to roller coaster throughout the next 24 hours. And your sugar thermostat is set right in that morning with your breakfast meal. So make sure to have a nice high protein breakfast. Include things like eggs, and don't be afraid of things like high cholesterol. You know, you can enjoy the bacons and the sausages as long as they're the healthier versions.
Now, what would be a healthier? Because I wouldn't want, you know, people coming to me and they've gained all this weight because I said to go ahead and have bacon and eggs for breakfast, right. and you know, sausage and right. going to the fast food place for those kind of meals are not considered a healthy breakfast. Yeah. So give me an example of, like, you know, cage-free eggs maybe, and what kind of turkey. And I know there's a lot of nitrates and hormones in some of those things that, you know, we go to the store and we buy. So what, you know, would you consider, you know, the type of bacon, eggs, and sausage maybe that would be healthier
versions? Yeah. When you talk about kind of the pork products, so the bacons and the sausage, you want to look for words like uncured and nitrite-free. As for eggs, yes, cage-free eggs, pastured eggs. If you have a local farm next door, that's even better. And you know what's going into those chickens, those are probably going to be some of the best eggs you can get.
And what about these farmers markets? For produce and things like that, you know, how about incorporating, you know, would
Absolutely.
that be like, I love in the morning I have eggs and I love adding organic spinach or kale and spices. Are there like really special spices that might help? I add turmeric to my eggs.
Yeah, turmeric's a great, you know, kind of health spice in many, many ways. But, you know, incorporating all sorts of vegetables inside a nice egg omelet. And I know we don't have time to do that every day, but when you can indulge on like a weekend morning, make yourself a really nice, healthy omelet.
I will make like a burrito type omelet, and I'll make it the night before. Right. And I'll roll it in like waxed paper, and the next morning, you know, heat and eat. You know, those are type of things that I like to do. And even for the kids, you know, if they don't have enough time, I'll make homemade pancakes with you can use gluten-free flour, whole wheat flour, and I'll add blueberries in there, and sometimes even mini chocolate chips. But I find that if I do this the night before and the next morning I could pop it in the toaster or toaster oven and heat and eat.
One less thing to stress about.
And one less thing to stress about, right, exactly. And that's the whole focus right here, is to try to make life, you know, healthy, balanced, and little less stressed.
Manageable.
And manageable, absolutely. Because we all, you know, like I said, with, you know, getting it ready in the morning, we're out really early in the morning, and breakfast could be really hard. So
smoothies are another great option.
Yes.
In the winters, it's a little hard. Smoothies are a little cold on the body, but especially as we're heading into spring.
Yeah, grab and go. Put that blender together.
That's another thing that you could prepare the night before and just grab it right out of the fridge and go.
Right, that's great. Any other foods that, you know, for lunch that maybe could help us, you know, keep our glucose levels kind of at an even keel and not, you know, run for that cup of coffee at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like I know so many of us do.
It really is about making sure that every meal is balanced. And right now, most people's meals are very carbohydrate heavy, sugar heavy. So cutting some of that out and replacing the plate with healthy proteins, but also healthy fats. We're talking about healthy fats, healthy oils like coconut oil and olive oil. Healthy fats are found in healthy meats, the grass-fed beefs and the free-range chickens, the pastured eggs that we talked about. wild-caught fish.
Fish, yeah.
And healthy fats are absolutely necessary for every cell in our body, for all of our hormonal health. And don't forget, our stress hormones are hormones, so to help regulate them, we do need a good amount of healthy fats.
So I love avocado.
Oh, great source of healthy fats.
Yeah, that's one of my go-to.
Yeah, even a good amount of protein in a nice, good-sized avocado.
Yeah, I put it in my salads, I mash it up, and I mix it with salsa, hummus with some lemon juice, and I'll take organic tortilla chips, and that's the only way I'll get my family, very picky, to eat avocado and some healthy fats in their diet, and it's really delicious.
It is.
And I think even if you're not an avocado fan, you know, try to mix it, get creative. Like I'll put it on a sandwich, you know, and I think that's a way to get that into you as well.
Absolutely, and don't forget, it's those fats that are going to shut off that appetite center. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't indulge, just make sure you have really nice balanced meals, and absolutely, food is one of the small joys in life.
Right.
So,
like dark chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Red wine.
I have to have my dark chocolate and my, you know,
Yeah.
glass of red wine every once in a while is wonderful.
I have dark chocolate with some almonds, little raisins in there. That's kind of like my treat, my little treat that I have every now and again. And the almonds are a good source of
and
healthy
those small
fats.
joys are necessary for stress
Absolutely.
relief too.
Absolutely. Well, that's really good advice on healthy foods, you know, and not to deprive ourselves, but not to, you know, overindulge, to find that balance.
Right.
What about cravings? I hear a lot of people that come to me and say, you know, I crave sugar, I crave caffeine, I crave, you know, chocolate.
Right.
What can we do to help with that?
Well, having the balanced meals that are really high in protein and fats should help cut the cravings. But also cravings hit because we get stressed and we want to reach for something really fast to help just give us immediate satisfaction or immediate joy, which really doesn't last very long, but you know, a lot of people do it. So employing all of these other stress reduction techniques, those should also help cut cravings. And every time you do have a craving, go out for your brisk walk or employ any of your other stress reduction. Focus on your breathing just for a few minutes.
But it has to be joyful. That's what I find, that if we're loving, you know, and craving candy, for example, and at 3 o'clock you're running to the candy machine, and that brings you joy, replace that with something positive that is more healthy.
Right.
You know, and that's some of the things that I try to, you know, incorporate in my life, as well as, you know, recommend to others, and the habit reversal training is that here's a habit that at 3 o'clock I'm running for that cup of coffee, I'm running to the candy machine to grab some candy, but it's really more of a habit.
It is.
Because there's some stress maybe that we're trying to avoid or we don't want to do, or sometimes, you know, it might be a stress from work that we need to get done, but we're putting it off.
Right.
But maybe we need to get that done, and then it's done.
Yep.
I find that writing lists is really helpful to me, that if it's in my mind, it's stress. Because it's in here and I have to focus on it because I'm going to forget.
Get it out, right? Yeah.
Right, but if I either write it on a piece of paper or I have on my calendar, I have lists like all over the place.
Right.
But that helps me. Is there anything else that you could recommend that would help kind of get it up and out?
Yeah.
And less stress for us?
Actually, there's one technique that's coming to my mind. It's called emotional freedom technique, and there are a lot of practitioners here who are trained in it and employ it for their, and it's a technique that you can teach patients. So you don't have to go to a practitioner to be able to use this technique every time you get stressed out. You learn the technique, and right in that moment, whether you know, when you need those habit reversal techniques, you can certainly, you know, do your breathing, but an emotional freedom technique is a wonderful energy method and energy therapy that can help you break habits like that. It's one of the best and well proven to work too, to help break those habits.
I actually did training in EFT.
Oh, you did?
So I did learn some of the, and what it is you just take your 2 fingers and tap. You know,
and they're acupuncture points.
Right, and just tap, and you say, you know, certain affirmations while you're tapping, and they're just, you could do, I mean, if you're, you know, sitting in your office and doing this and there's nobody around, but you just constant, you know, repetition and speaking, you know, it looks silly, but basically
Right.
this is all you're doing, and you're engaging the meridian points.
You are.
And releasing.
And being mindful of what it is that's stressing you out at that moment.
Right.
And I have some people who are like, why? And they kind of think it's a
And
little hokey
right,
or whatever
right.
it may be. But, you know, they give it a chance, and always keeping an open mind is really important too.
Yeah.
And you'll find that techniques like that and other ones, they really do work.
Right, right. And you could always find a place, you know, where you could do this, where you're not
Comfortably.
feeling, silly or doing anything like that. Because I think the benefits, you know, once you think about the benefits, and this becomes habit, I think forming really good habits is essential, that this is just going to become normal part of day. That,
Absolutely.
I know for me, if I'm at a red light or if I'm rushed or stressed, even in the car, just, you know, okay, I'm going to breathe, I'm going to relax. And doing that is just going to keep me, one, it's bringing my mind, you know, making me mindful.
Yep.
And two, it allows me not to engage in some negative behavior. And I'm going to remember that, okay, you know what, this too shall pass. And whether that person who was in the car and had road rage and cut me off is not going to, you know, really stress me, that I could just really focus on me. And not to give away your power to other people who are maybe, you know, giving you a tough time at work, or you know, a family member that may be really causing stress, or you have a stressful situation.
Right.
Is to remember not to give that power away to somebody else, that it's really about how you act and
Absolutely.
react to certain situations.
Yeah, you can absolutely perceive the same situation in, you know, 4 different ways, and of those 4 different ways, maybe 1 or 2 is going to be very healthful for you, to a healthful way for you to approach the very same situation that could be causing you.
We
big
have a
stress.
choice.
Absolutely.
So I would like to ask you another question,
Okay.
and this is going to be almost like the $1 million question. Sleep.
Oh yes.
How can we find better patterns? And I know, you know, before we go to sleep, and you know, just leading up to that moment, what can we do to help us?
You're
And
right. It is a $1
it
million
is.
question.
Yeah.
You know, and as we get older and life stresses start building and adding on, especially, you know, once you have a family and there are even more people to stress about, sleep becomes very precarious. It becomes almost a very fragile state, and then you have anxiety that starts around, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to sleep? And it makes the whole thing worse.
Oh, so how can we bring ourselves, or at least help and find methods that would help to bring us to a better state of sleep?
Well, the first thing is, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, it's always going to be about nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And again, watching those blood sugar levels. And for a lot of people, we want to indulge in that late night snack, which usually happens to be a very sugary treat. But that does affect our sleep, either our ability to fall asleep nicely and quickly and easily, or our ability to stay asleep through the night.
Like after dinner, if I have a cup of herbal tea, that's my go-to. Love my
Right.
herbal tea. I will sleep soundly.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But if I have, you know, something sugary before I go to bed, I will be up all night. So I proved it. Okay, I've done this experiment that I will be up all night.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah.
It's what
Sugar
you eat before you
is
go to
probably
bed.
one of the worst offenders, but the other one that a lot of people love to indulge in are caffeinated beverages.
Mm-hmm.
They love their coffee to, you know, have after their dinner, or even a tea that happens to be caffeinated, a green tea, black teas, things like that.
And I think what you said is right. The tea, like I have herbal tea before I go to bed, but I noticed there's a tea, lemon lift, and you think, oh, it's lemon tea,
Right.
but it's lemon flavored black tea.
Black tea.
So you really have to read those labels, even on the herbal teas. What other herbal teas would have caffeine? And that could be misleading. Like green tea, I know has caffeine.
Black, green, and white teas, those all have caffeines. And don't be fooled by decaf beverages. They do have, you know, small amounts of caffeine in it. And for people whose sleep states are very fragile, those small amounts are going to affect them. And the other offender is alcohol. Alcohol does not promote deep sleep. So if you're having a glass of wine or a beer every night and you're going through a particularly stressful time in your life, your sleep will most definitely be affected. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy those things, but save those things for times in your life when everything is nice and fairly stable. You're emotionally stable. Your big stresses in your life.
Are we ever emotionally stable?
As stable as can
As
be.
stable as we can be, right?
Yeah, when big stresses aren't really lying right on top of you.
And another thing that I found, that if I watch TV that has the news or one of those drama shows with crime,
stimulating,
not only can I not sleep, but I'm going to have nightmares. I actually have nightmares. Right. And something, that I wouldn't think would bother me, but subconsciously it stayed with me and it affects my sleep.
Right.
So I'm really aware of what I'm watching or reading before I go to bed. What type of supplements can you recommend for, not only for sleep, but maybe stress reduction that would be, healthy to our body? Like you said, not a sleep aid or a prescription per se, that's a chemical man-made, but something that's healthy that we could take, and contraindications on some of these supplements that might be an herbal remedy, but if you're on certain medications that you might not
be the right one.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're talking about ones to employ for stress relief or stress management, it depends. It depends on what systems are affected by your stress. The big problems many people have is exactly that. The mind just won't shut off. We can't just seem to enter that calm state and pass right over into, sleepy land.
Yeah.
So one of the best supplements that I use or recommend is an amino acid called L-theanine. L-theanine, it's not a sedative, it's not a tranquilizer. It's extracted from green tea leaves. I think many people are familiar with the calming effect of green tea, even though it is a caffeinated beverage. And that's because of this amino acid called L-theanine. Inside our bodies, L-theanine helps promote levels of another neurotransmitter called GABA. So taking a supplement like L-theanine can help raise GABA levels and promote very calming brain waves. So although it's not a sedative, it can help kind of just shut off that mind so that you can actually just transition into sleep. Not only that, but stay asleep. L-theanine used during the day can help you cope with stress. I often refer to it as mommy's little helper. Moms with kids running around all day, their stress just gets like this, and oftentimes they find themselves either edgy or anxious or irritable, and a supplement such as L-theanine, and there are others out there, many others, can just help you feel calm, again, because it's going to raise those nice GABA levels.
What other supplements can you recommend for anxiety and sleep? Are there some that we could take maybe during the day and others that we could take at night?
Absolutely. Even in the tea world, a lot of people, calming teas, that's chamomile tea. Everyone knows. And there are other teas out there that have other herbs like passion flower and valerian and hops and lemon balm. And these teas can often be used medicinally.
And they have them in a blend. Sometimes you can find these teas in a blend.
Yeah, sleep teas.
Right.
Quiet time teas, and you can often just increase the potency of the tea so that it has a little bit more medicinal value.
2 tea bags, maybe.
Absolutely, and make sure you're steeping it for longer periods. Really get all of those, medical parts of those herbs out into the tea. But aside from the teas, those same herbs can be taken in supplement form with those glands. Even simple vitamins, like even within the vitamin B world, there are some great ones.
Inositol, I know, is really helpful for certain types of anxiety conditions.
Absolutely. And even vitamin C, a lot of people think of our immune system, but just as important for our adrenal glands.
Now, what about contraindications on some of these herbal remedies? If some people are on, you might be on a prescription drug, and you could buy these over the counter, but they can affect some medications.
They can. Some of the, especially the psychotropic drugs that are meant to target serotonin levels, there are the same, very similar ones in the herbal world. And so doubling up on those kinds of medications can be contraindicated. So with some of these herbs, you really have to be mindful and work with a practitioner who's familiar both with the pharmaceutical drugs and the herbal remedies to make sure that the fit is right and that there aren't going to be any adverse reactions.
So you wouldn't recommend, someone just to go out to the store and start buying all these?
I wouldn't.
To work with a practitioner,
yes.
Especially if you're really stressed and
Absolutely. You don't want to be taking 20 different supplements. That's a burden on the body. That's just one more stress, which is the thing that you were trying to combat. So you want to work with someone who can really fine-tune a supplement regimen if that is what you need, and really pare it down so that it's focused on exactly what system it is in your body that needs repairing and nourishing.
And what about just a person who might not be on any type of medication and they just want to go to the store and say, listen, I'm slightly stressed, I have some anxiety here and there, I just want to go and grab something at the local grocery store.
Right.
I know there's different potencies and different brands and different
Yes.
price ranges, and what can you recommend that say, okay, a go-to thing would be, start with this and
Right.
look for this potency or...
Right. This answer might surprise you a little bit because it's not really going to be any of the supplements that I talked about. But our GI health, our gastrointestinal health, is very, very important and significant when it comes to our mental emotional health. We essentially have two brains in our body. Everyone knows about this one. Well, we do. We have a second brain right in our GI system. And so usually when a patient comes in, I will make as a very basic foundational part of their supplement protocol a good probiotic. If you're not doing probiotics, eating fermented foods, sauerkraut, kimchi, things like this, yogurts, kefir, kombucha teas, and you can make your own fermented foods at home, which is even better. But these things will offer really good amounts of probiotics or healthy, good, friendly bacteria. And the bacteria in our intestines undoubtedly help with our mental emotional health.
Wow.
And help with stress management, to the point where there are even now psychiatrists who will prescribe psychotropic medications with a good probiotic because it increases the efficacy of those drugs. So don't ever forget about our gastrointestinal health. It's just like we were talking about with good nutrition, all about GI health and helping maintain our mental and emotional health as well.
And I know when you mentioned probiotic, immediately in my head I thought, anybody, you, adults or children who are on any antibiotic, always take a probiotic.
Absolutely.
Whenever.
Absolutely. That's very important because antibiotics cannot tell the difference between good bacteria or bad bacteria.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for being here and inviting us to
And
your
thank you for
office.
having me. Come back anytime.
Thank you.